Studios in South Florida. This is the Mission Debrief podcast with Call Team 6. Special ops for car dealers. Real talk on today's hot dealership topics and helping dealers nationwide.
For people involved with your team.
Someone signs up to say, I am ready to be mediocre.
Leaders are what make things happen.
Full throttle, no brakes. Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Mission Debrief from your friends here at Call Team 6. Special ops for car dealers, no lead left behind. Hello, everyone. Dealers, general managers, GSMs, BDC managers, fixed ops leadership teams. Welcome into today's episode. This is a milestone episode, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 20.
Wow.
Tango in our phonetic alphabet of what is a growing community of automotive brothers and sisters, sharing information, where we come to you, regularly to impart upon you what we're seeing, what we're knowing, what is working, and helping dealerships win all across the country. I welcome everyone. My name's Jeff, one of the founders of the company, and I'm joined today in the beautiful Meisner Park area of South Florida, Boca Raton, by our other, leadership personnel here for the company. Today, I'm going to bring him in now. Joining us, coming down from Philadelphia, or actually from South Jersey through Philly Airport, our CEO, the co-creator of the original BDC model back in the early 90s. We're fortunate enough to have him in studio again, Mr. Ken Kingstad. Ken, how you doing?
I'm doing great this afternoon, Jeff.
Awesome.
I love it. I appreciate the nice introduction, and always a pleasure, as I always say, coming down here to Boca Raton, and sharing the love, if you will, with all of our dealers and just giving up those golden nuggets. So appreciate the intro.
Also joining us in studio, our COO, Operations Director, coming in via the CT Express CLT in Charlotte, North Carolina, Mr. Ryan Mays, checking in today.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely.
Love it. Anytime I can get in studio with Thomas and crew, right?
Yeah.
It's a good day. It's a good day. Easy flight. I got very lucky. I'm in row 3, and no one shows up next to me.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why I'm in a good mood. Not only being here with you guys, but it was the easiest flight I think I've had in a long, long time. So excited for our guests, though. It was funny. One of the things that were coming out was about training and consulting. Almost like there's a huge deficiency of that in the marketplace today. Almost kind of like it's been forgotten or an afterthought, or maybe it's an old, tired word. But it's coming back in a big way, and we're going to talk about that with our special guest today. I'm excited about that.
Are you saying you were training before it was cool?
That's right.
Is that right?
Well, yeah.
You're bringing training back, you and JT?
We're bringing training back.
Yeah.
There we go.
right on cue. And actually, you sound like you were kind of fortunate in your trip down, like Mr. Papa Giorgio, where I put in $1 and won a car. I put in $1 and won a car.
I mean, where else do you go where it's a full flight except for your 2 seats sitting next to you? I don't know, but I was blessed on my way down.
There you go.
Speaking of which, I saw on Facebook, Ken, yours was like exponential.
How about
I
that?
couldn't believe that picture, man, that you
Great.
put up.
Yeah, I was the only one on the flight. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Take a look. You can check out my Facebook. I'm the only one. The flight was completely empty.
Well, they were all on mine last night.
I was going to comment on there. You're finally able to fly private like you've always wanted to do.
That's right.
Well, he is ultra platinum titanium frontier status over there.
Oh my gosh.
They know him on a first name basis. So.
Welcome back, Mr. Kingstad. Yeah.
Your usual seat, Mr. Kingstad?
Please.
Then the co-pilot right here. You going to fly yourself today?
Jump seat today.
And also joining us, coming in via Atlanta area, the digital car guy himself. I call him the OG DCG, Mr. Thomas Irisitano. Thomas, thanks for coming down and joining us again. And here sporting his new CT6 swag on the softball field. So, you can order yours. We'll put you in touch with our engineer, Eric, about how to get your own swag with that, probably at some point in time. Well, thanks for joining us, though, man. Thanks for coming down.
Oh, always my pleasure. Always great to be with you guys and, be able to spread the good word about our business and also, interject some good positive notes. And this is a private stash. Not everyone's going to get one of these.
Except maybe our VIP guest we have joining us remotely today, who's going to be joining us in just a little bit. And we are so grateful, so blessed, and so proud to have him come and join us today, because anytime that he steps into the conversation is elevated, it's straight fire, because nobody is in touch anymore with or at a higher level whenever it comes to coaching the top performers and leading part of the movement that is working toward the next level and the next generation of automotive success stories. We're really excited about that. So, Thomas, thanks for joining us today. We're really excited and glad you're here, and we're about ready to get fire this plane up and get it going, regardless of how many passengers are on it.
That's right.
I don't know. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you again tuning in to episode 20 Tango here for Call Team 6, we spend most of our time here helping our dealership clients and those of you in the dealership space win your markets through three primary areas of engagement and overall concentration, which are first and foremost acquisition, new customer acquisition, also defection prevention in those areas, and then lastly, missed opportunity re-engagement, those particular areas there. And that's, again, why we're really excited about our a guest who is going to be joining us today. First and foremost, though, before we kick in with the mission launch and field report, I want to make sure we give a quick shout out to our sponsors today. First and foremost, PJ Studios, Podcast Junkies at podcastjunkies.com for the very best in podcast production, facilities, engagement. You want to make sure that you look them up and get your space reserved today. We're at their studios now, and we really appreciate the partnership, in their growing business that we've been able to utilize with all of their talents. And our other sponsor for today's program is badco.ai. Ryan, you can probably share with us. You know what? It's probably a good time. Badco just attended the Javits Center up in New York, the conference up there earlier this month. If I'm not mistaken, is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, we were at the Javits Center up there, continuing the at the AWS conference. That's correct. Yeah, we were there.
Well, I'm sure a lot of good things came away from that, and a lot of opportunities. We can see the badco.ai site, and this is the venture that you've been involved with Amazon AWS and that partnership in developing all this proprietary, orchestrated layer of AI that is not misapplied, but applied in the very areas where dealers need the most help. Not just trying to act like humans or replace humans just with basic chat bots, but a higher level of operational efficiency that it's been able to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, so everyone kind of knows the basic premise between AI, which is help with lead follow-up, help with minutia, help build processes maybe in place, but you still got to have a lot of people. It's still people-heavy business to be able to monitor that, get the results out of it that you want, because humans who buy cars still kind of want to talk to humans. I think we know that for a fact by now. So it's helped process, but I think there's a lot of debate out there about where it's really pulling and increasing the profitability laces, if you will. But a couple of unique areas because of our partnership with AWS, and again, we have 4 engineers in-house, and we have 12 from AWS, and we've been working on this for the last 18, 20 months, is that we can get into what we call the Deal Jacket, which is an agentic AI digital retailing tool that we have. It's being piloted right now. In fact, we're setting it up for the Easy Car network as we speak. And then also we can get into the parts department for that. We have established relationships with Cox Automotive, 700 Credit, S&P Global, which is M-Desking, to be able to power all of these. And so we're going to be able to get into a lot of those areas where it's not just, we have a voice AI that can answer your phone calls, or we have a voice AI that can answer after hours, or if a lead comes in, we can respond right away. And that's fun, and sometimes that's necessary, but where does it really move the needle? Where does it say, okay, how can I get my web conversions up? How can I generate 200 more leads from people actually converting with the website? Or how can I automate, where I can get 50% of my parts transactions done with the AI? So I don't have my parts managers tied to it or multiple calls going to an empty place. So I know it's a little long there with that, but to answer your question, you need a little more explanation to that about how you get into the real parts of the automotive space that are still untouched from AI, that could result in real dollars.
Right.
So we're excited about that.
Absolutely, and badco.ai is where that lives, and I'll be very excited to hear our guest views on that, how the effects of AI, what it's doing, how it's affecting dealership operations as well. So, and a quick shout out to Jay back up in North Carolina. That is a straight killer intro. The newest intro there, MacSocial.ai produces all of our clips and a lot of our content online that you can see on all those socials. And then a quick shout out to our engineer Eric behind the board today at iameric.com.
Woo! Eric, all right.
Appreciate your being here, brother.
Yes.
Glad to be here. Nice to see you guys again.
Doing a fantastic job. What's new in Eric land these days?
Trying to get that domain ready.
Right?
iameric.com.
And that's with a K, as I found out last episode.
I think that's an
CK,
opportunity.
sorry.
I think it's an opportunity to save quite a bit of money, with the CK on there. Otherwise, it might be thousands of dollars. So just real quick, and I want to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and start things off with our guest here and get going in the mission field and launch report section of the program, because we want to get him involved right away, because we could talk about amongst ourselves here what are the challenges going on, what are dealers facing, what type of personnel challenges that are presenting themselves for dealers to have to navigate through, what type of coaching systems today really works to help teams perform better and at a higher level. I'm anxious to hear about all of that, and that's why, if it's all right with everybody here, we're going to go ahead and bring him in now. And not that he needs me to give a flowery type of introduction, because his reputation and his business precedes him for sure, but we are certainly proud, happy, and excited, and very grateful to have with us, taking some time out of his day to join us remotely, the head and the founder of Sandy Cerami Associates, the one and only Sandy Cerami, coming to us. I heard something about a beach. I don't know if that's Cape May or if that's somewhere in Myrtle Beach or something, but we're so glad that you're here, Sandy, and thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, buddy. My high honor. As you know, we've been connected for well over a decade, you and I, and so this is a thrill for me. Appreciate it.
Okay, fantastic. So where are you right now? I'm just curious.
I am in Brielle, New Jersey, in my backyard, and and happy to be hanging with you guys. The weather's not so great, so I'm not roasting in the sun, and it's a perfect setting to sit down and have a little dialogue with some pros.
I am so impressed, and I'm just obviously grateful to be in your expanding circles. And you're right. We do have a history that, for those of you who may not know, this is not what he's known for in a good sense, because he's much more accomplished than that. But Sandy's actually responsible for getting me my first management position there in New Jersey back in 2011. Through his recruitment arm of his services, and I mean, I've just gone upward from there. So
wow, it's great. I never knew that.
Yeah. It was through his connections, and I guess he I don't know if he just felt sorry for me or what. I don't know. I don't know. This guy.
I don't know about that, my man. I think, if truth be known, I'm going to say it for everybody here, is you made me look like a hero. So I appreciate you.
Well, hey, I tell you, and it's through no shortage of effort and results from Ryan here too, coming aboard and taking over the BDC operations for that group. Yeah, it was. I guess to put it a certain way, it was a great run. To be candid, we really did some good work together. So, but now look, you are you're no stranger to the car business. You're a storied car guy, but you've actually parlayed that into an entire enterprise to be a real resource for dealership operations. And I know that there is no more timely period where that you're having more of an impact than you are right now. So share with our viewers a little bit about what you're doing today, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, and then some about your past and how you've built what you've built for Sandy Cerami Associates. We're really excited to hear about that.
Well, I appreciate it, buddy. I mean, I'm a 42 years this year in the business. I say that, and I every time I say it, it just absolutely boggles the mind. I can't believe that much time has passed. But I'm a very fortunate third generation car brat, to put it mildly. I grew up in and around a dealership environment from the age of about 6 or 7 years of age on, and was always just completely mesmerized and in love with the business. I love the people end of the business. Guys will ask me from time to time, what's my favorite car, or what's my mechanical ability, et cetera. And I say, I could barely change a tire, but I do love the people end of the business and the business of the business. And so I had a good chance throughout my early years in life to grow up around my grandfather and my dad. As I always say, at the knee of two masters of the business. And then also our general manager at the time at Aberzizi was a huge influence on me. And I could give you a whole host of names, people that you would know and people that you would never have heard of, that have had a huge influence and impact on me in my life. And I would not be able to sit down and have conversations like this without those folks guiding me and really, quite honestly, pulling me out of the ditch. Every once in a while, I would land the ox right in the ditch, and I need somebody to pull me out. And just like everybody else, learned from the mistakes that I made the hard way, but had a lot of people, a lot of patience with me over the years. But look, I was a former GM dealer, third generation dealer. Two of my three brands went up in a puff of smoke during the global financial crisis and the GM bankruptcy proceeding. It was an interesting time, to put it mildly. I met you shortly thereafter, Jeff, and really it just put Humpty Dumpty back together again. I was wildly in debt at the time of the BK, and my wife and I, made a decision that we were just going to go the road on our own. That I was not really looking to help somebody else fuel their dream. I had a dream of my own, and I was just going to have to alter what that dream looked like and what the path was going to look like. And that's what we did. And back in 2010, I started Sandy Cerami Associates, and quite honestly, we just started. It was me, a one-man show, training salespeople that had really been displaced out of the Wall Street community after the GFC, and placing them in dealerships all over the country. And I felt it was a cool business plan because I could eat on both sides of the plate and do it with integrity and make a difference. That was my only goal at that point, was to make a positive difference and develop a reputation as somebody that when they got involved with a dealership or with a business, that the business was going to be better off as a result of that. And it wasn't because I knew better. It was sometimes because I was just was able to be more objective. I was able to commit the time more effectively in terms of the training and development that we did. And over the course of the last 15, 16 years, the practice has evolved into a full-blown consulting, training, and development business. And I couldn't be more appreciative, because the truth of the matter is that I was staring at a dead end in 2009. And had a lot of dark thoughts, and the man upstairs and my wife, the two biggest factors in giving me this opportunity to have this kind of a business and this kind of a platform. So
Amen.
always appreciative and thankful for that.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. Thomas, I know Thomas feels me right now for sure. It's good to see your smiling face, my friend. As it relates to what we're doing today, guys, I mean, we're working in dealerships every week, and we're working with GMs and sales managers and fixed operations managers, salespeople and service advisors. Quite honestly, getting people to focus on the thing that is most important, and that is the people that are right in front of us and that are reaching out to us on a daily basis. We live in a world that is dominated by data and tech and now AI. Um, and so I have made a firm commitment over the course of the last 6 months to really lean heavy into the human to human business model, not just B2B or B2C, because I work on both sides of the business, but really the human to human piece. And just remind people that in spite of all the data and technology and AI, we still have people that we're doing business with, and we can't lose sight of that.
Well, your business is a multifaceted and has different resources for different applications to help dealers succeed, right? Would you mind just going through some of those? Because I know that it's been an evolution and development for different, lack of a better term, verticals or different resources that you now supply to dealers in different areas who may need help in one area, to start and then take it from there.
Well, it's funny, Jeff. I go back to my days, running a store where turnover was a bit of a challenge. I hear dealers talk about it all the time. I know my good friend David Spizak is probably one of the foremost leading authorities on how to eliminate turnover. I think about some of the statistics in the store that he ran in terms of turnover were just mind-boggling. My good friend Michael Poro at Honda World of Louisville with really the same kind of results now, working with David. And we subscribe to the same theory, which is we've got to develop people and give them the kind of vision for a career path that makes the most sense. And so the easiest way to do that is make sure we make the investment in them. So we're working with dealers at the ground level with two of our curriculums predominantly. One is called 3-Step Selling, which simplifies the selling process in a way that makes it fun, not just to actually learn, but really fun to execute on. And then most importantly, fun for the guests and the clients that we serve to go through that process. It's not that painful experience of high pressure sales. It's really designed to help people gather and share all the information that they need to make the very best decision possible for them, as opposed to the old school, as you say, high pressure tactics that still tend to be used in a large number of dealerships and dealer groups today.
No, they don't.
People are not looking for that. Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Every dealership uses modern day selling methods.
Well,
What are we
listen,
what are we even doing here?
It all comes down to, I guess,
We'd be out of a job.
perspective, I guess, right? Like, what does that even mean? Everyone has their own interpretation of what that is. Maybe doing it the old school way, in some people's minds, actually is relevant to today. But I think seeing people, I think, don't know what they don't know, and I think you probably don't work with every dealership, but you work with the ones that are the most probably they're looking for that next step. Like, how do I get better? Like what's the secret to getting better and getting better people? And then really, it comes really down to, and I think in my opinion here is, people buy from people they like, and really just learning how to really connect with people is really the big thing. I think that people, they're so focused today, the younger generation, when I say younger, I mean like, the 20 somethings. I think that they're so focused in on like video games and they don't even get out of their houses hardly, that we look at all the numbers and people aren't even dating like they once were, right? They're not even going out,
yes.
And so you hire these people in, and for whatever reason, they did a good job on the interview, right? And then, all right, so then how do I win now? Because like, obviously, what do I need to do to sell, not just cars, but a lot of cars? How do I build a career out of this whole thing? And I think that's what's missing in a lot of the stores that I see too, is that there's just not a lot of leadership on how to build and develop the human capital. I don't know what you're thinking.
You just hit the nail on the proverbial head, Ken. I mean, a number of times. First of all, I'd say to you, there's a level above being liked, right? I mean, and because that can be a trap. I teach something called the rapport trap, where we spend so much time being liked that we forget that we're actually there for the purpose of helping people make a decision about buying, leasing a newer pre-owned vehicle, right? So I think the most important thing is making a commitment to people, right? The best we're ever going to see them is during the initial interview phase anyway, right? Very, very often, if they're putting on their best face and putting their best foot forward, that's when they're going to do it, because they have a simple inclination. They want to get the job. It's what we do from that point forward in terms of making a commitment to their training and development that makes all the difference in the world. You use the word leadership. John Maxwell's book, The Five Levels of Leadership, should be on everybody's desk. If you lead more than one person, okay, it should be on your desk and referenced on a daily basis. I think that is the single most effective leadership book ever written, in my humble opinion, because it is the easiest way to define what great leadership is and what great leadership does. Now, with respect to the young kids coming through, they desperately come into the business wanting to accomplish something, and we tend to not have the patience to stick with them. And we also make the mistake of not giving enough of our time, effort, and energy early on.
Amen.
I think it's critical. You know, the first day, the first week, the first month, their first year in the business is the most critical time that we have with them. And if we do an effective job, then what we should be hearing from them is that was the best first day of anything I've ever had. That was the best first week of anything I've ever had. That was the best first month and the best first year experience out of anything I've ever had previously. And that's what's going to deliver the sticky retention that we're looking for, not just on the showroom floor, but also with the guests and the clients that we're serving on a daily basis.
You know, I want to say this. You know, I think that because you're a position of maybe a manager at a car dealership, that doesn't really automatically make you a good coach. You know, coaching and leading are and managing are different skills completely. You know, and I think a lot of the guys who are running the desk these days are guys that can sell lots of cars and didn't have any experience in terms of how to develop anybody, but they just, hey, this guy sold lots of cars, so obviously he must be good at what he does. So let's put him in as a position of leadership, you know. But I'm not saying all those guys, but a lot of those guys were pretty much all about the unholy trinity, me, myself, and I, you know, and they weren't really geared in around, you know, developing their co-workers, you know. So yeah, that's why I think they reach out to people like yourself and say, hey, I don't have those skills, but I want to get better. You know, show me how to do it.
You know,
Amen.
I was gonna say I can remember. Well, I have a 25-year-old, and he sold cars at the local Toyota store. Bad experience from the start. And then I introduced. I said, before you give up on the car business, let's take a ride to Cumming, Georgia.
Oh yeah.
And you know, Patrick and Abad and I have been good friends for a while, and we'd been talking for a couple of years about bringing my son up there. So, you know, his first interaction with Patrick said to him, "Oh, by the way, I want to make sure you have the right wardrobe. Here's 3 polo shirts. Here's a pullover. And oh, by the way, here's a winter jacket because it does get a little cold up here." So that foundation was laid right from the start.
Mm-hmm.
And his onboarding was very simple and easy. Here's all your passwords. Here's what you need to do. You have to do your training for both sales and for Toyota. And as a proud papa, I just got to sit on the sidelines and, you know, let loose of the reins.
I'm sure we don't have to tell you, Sandy, about, you know, and I say this as somebody who's been, you know, a dealership manager for a good while, is we've dropped the ball seriously on that. There should be more resources, I think you would agree, devoted toward proper orientation, to new team members whenever they come on board. And we haven't done that. I think that is part of contributing toward a higher turnover rate, because we haven't made the proper investment. Forget about the training. We haven't even provided them with the map to show them where the restrooms are. We put them on the phone, but it still has the red light blinking on their desk. With all the voicemails of the past 3 people, and so nobody can even reach that person at that extension, because when the caller calls there, they have the voicemail message from the previous salesperson, and they don't even know where they're calling. So, I'm going to hold myself accountable for that. And so now what we're doing is now we have, and this is part of a fundamental, in my view, condition that we're all having to fight now, is we're trying to replace people with machines, or some dealerships are, and that's because we've done a terrible job of creating great career paths for people, to do that, when At the same time, and I just heard this the other day, where that they, the certain marketing companies have done focus groups with people who just bought. The same people who said they don't like dealing with people. The number one thing that they said, the reason why they bought, from where they bought, from whom they bought, is because they liked the salesperson. They got, they had the rapport with the salesperson. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the fundamental struggle going on right now, where we created this bet ourselves, and yet we think that we can escape it by not investing more into people, but into other areas at the same time, when the consumers really are sharing with us, that's not really the way that they want to go. They want a modern selling process available to them, but there's still the human factor which plays into any buying decision that involves that level of commitment, and that level of information has to be disseminated from someone to a customer.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, again, I am leaning heavily into the human-to-human element of business. And if you guys pay attention to what Mark Benioff at Salesforce just did, he just put a hiring freeze on. At the same time, they announced some significant layoffs, but they leaned into hiring more salespeople. Okay, and so if you're going to pay attention to what the guy who invented Salesforce.com is doing right now. He's leaning heavy into the H to H piece on the sales side. To your point, Jeff, like let's think about this, guys. Right now, I think the average dealer spends about $700 to $750 per sale in terms of marketing and advertising dollars, according to NADA.
Right.
Imagine if we just were to redirect and redeploy and repurpose some of those dollars into the initial 90-day experience for new sales professionals, new BDC reps, or service advisors, and really give them the kind of income and the kind of training and development that they needed. I wonder what would happen to that number. I know that the marketing and advertising agencies out there aren't going to love me when I say this, but imagine if you could drop that number by $250 to $300 per copy. What would that have in terms of impact on the bottom line, and then ultimately your ability to have higher levels of sales production?
Well, the benefits of that, to your point, would seem to be self-evident. However, that takes a certain amount of courage to make that type of adjustment and commitment. And for those of us in the chair who are measured every 30.5 days for our effectiveness, unfortunately, we spend more of our time in the urgent and important
crisis management.
Quadrant, crisis management. Yeah, what are you doing for me today? Well, do you think that we'll ever escape that cycle? Is somebody going to eventually, some entity going to come in and force us to adopt that longer term mentality, or do you think? I know there's some doing it on their own, but by and large, with the dealership model as it stands right now?
I mean, my short answer is that I don't think that we're going to see that happen industry wide. The world doesn't operate that way. What I do think you're going to see is the high performers. There's going to be a higher degree of separation between the haves and the have-nots, and I think a lot of it is going to relate to exactly what you're talking about. The ones that do make the commitment and have the courage of their conviction to invest in their people are going to be the ones that win. Look at it from the OEM level, guys. When you take a look at consistency and courage and commitment and conviction, with all due respect to all the other OEMs out there, tell me who does it better than Lexus and Toyota. I don't remember reading about Lexus and Toyota having to write off, double-digit billions because they made the EV mistake. Okay, and so you have to have the ability to make these decisions, to cut the path in front of you. Sometimes it's you got to get the machete on and continue to cut to clear that path, but you have to have, as you said, the courage to keep on going. And while we are measured in 30.5-day increments, I'd rather be measured as the most profitable and productive dealer with the highest retention at the end of the year, and not worry about whether or not I had a bad month or two leading up to it.
Sandy, I got to ask you this question. So when you've presented this to dealerships, what's their first response?
Depends on who I'm talking to, Thomas, right? So I'm usually getting the phone call because things aren't going in the direction that they want it to.
Right.
Right. I mean, my phone rings or my inbox dings when they're not sure who to call or what to do to fix what's broken in a store. Right. And so I go in and I very rarely am I going in there and pontificating and telling them all the things that they need to do,
Yeah.
because I really have to give them the respect to understand exactly where they're at. Every store does have their nuances, their own culture, their own some of the market nuances or brand nuances that you've got to contend with. And so for me, a lot of times when I'm going in there, I'm doing a lot more listening than I am talking. After we've had an opportunity to have healthy dialogue back and forth, and I have a good chance to listen over multiple different phone calls or multiple different meetings, then I can go back in and have a much different conversation. And so, sometimes when we go in, we're exposing the very people that brought us in the first place. That's a really tough conversation to have. But the only
So
way you can
true.
do that is if you do the first thing that I talk about in sales all the time, because I'm doing something that's no different than what I'm teaching salespeople to do every single day, right? I'm in business development for my own business.
Mm.
I've got to establish trust that I'm there for the right reasons and that the result that we're going to deliver, as long as we collaborate and we each take care of our end, we're going to be able to actually deliver on them. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So true. So true. That's the first thing I say is, that I'm gonna ask you a handful of questions. Some might get a little uncomfortable, to
Yes,
say the
sir.
least, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And I can remember when I first went on this journey and I left the corporate world. Who did I call? I called you,
Hmm.
and I said, "Hey, brother, I need some advice.
Hmm.
These are uncharted waters for me." And I have to thank you again and again and again for that advice and that guidance, because you've been there and done that. And I think you said at one point, there's so much room for people to do what we do at this level,
Hmm.
and asking those hard and tough questions, and uh, hopefully pointing them all in the right direction.
Amen.
Mm.
Yeah, no question. I remember that conversation. I remember a lot of it had to do with, um, understanding the value that you bring to the marketplace, not overvaluing yourself, but never undervaluing valuing yourself either. And that goes for anybody that's selling. We have to understand where we can add value and what that really means to the person that we're working with. My goal is never to sell anybody anything. It's to gather and share all the information that we need to help them make the very best decision possible for them, and then we move forward.
Amen.
Right.
Can you share a little bit more with us, Sandy, about what you're doing with the academy and how you're spreading the word about the 7 pillars and some of those aspects that our viewers would want to know more about in that regard?
Sure, sure, no doubt. So, the three-step selling process is quite simple, and it's wrapped inside of the 7 pillars of killer business development. The reason that I developed those two platforms was very simple. I wanted to simplify things for the selling professional and for the people that we are selling to on a regular basis, right? So, three-step selling is probably not much different than the 7, 10, 20, 21 step. I had a 30-step sales process about I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago with a dealership group that we were working with. I was stunned
Mm.
when I saw the sales process book. I was like, man, how do you explain that to somebody walking through the front door? And I'm going to give GC Grant Cardone props, because he's the one that said years ago when I was at an NADA convention, one of his workshops, he said, if you were to advertise what your sales process is, how effective you think it would be in driving traffic to your dealership. And it really stuck in my mind. And so when we developed the three-step process, we're like, what do? We help people find the right vehicle. We take a quick peek and a quick spin, and then we help them find the right ownership options. Now, inside of those 3 steps, there are sub steps that we teach. But at the end of the day, if somebody walks through the front door of the dealership and we let them know we've got a sales process that involves 3 simple steps, we find the right vehicle, take a quick peek and a quick spin, and we find the right ownership options, the one that makes the most sense for you. People can buy into that. People are okay with that, as opposed to if I went to them and said, we've got a 10-step selling process, the first thing you're saying is, whoa, I don't have that kind of time.
How about we just go
And
straight
so,
to number 10?
right, well, well,
Yeah.
they want to go to step 9, which is, the figures. They want to get the price payment in terms.
So they can
Um,
say, I got to think about it.
Yeah.
100%, buddy,
Yeah.
100%. And so, and your guests are coming through the door armed with a lot more accurate information today than they have had in the past, right? And so it's a completely different experience. They've done a lot of the pre-work, and so if we can lean into the information that they can share with us that they've already gathered, and validate what's accurate and invalidate the stuff that isn't accurate, because that still exists, then we can start to have a much more proficient experience for everybody and a much more profitable experience. People will pay if it's an easier experience that doesn't waste their time. There's no doubt in my mind. I've seen it happen.
Mhm.
So three-step is designed to do just that. And it's amazing to watch people's faces light up when I say we've got a simple three-step process we're going to teach them. Some of them are in disbelief, but most of them are looking at it and saying, man, that sounds a whole lot better than when we've been taught. I can't even remember all the steps to the sale in our process. So we wrap that up in the 7 pillars of killer business development. And the reason I call it the 7 pillars of killer business development is because I want to teach selling professionals, whether it's B2B or B2C, makes no difference to me, how to be a business within a business. Patrick Bet David talks about intrapreneurs, right? People that are wildly successful working inside of another entrepreneur's business and taking advantage of all of the resources that they've got available to them that they don't have to pay for. And that completely typifies the automobile business, right? The dealership business. So when salespeople are looking at themselves as a business within a business, we're teaching them right out from the beginning. All right, the first pillar is your mindset. We have to master our mindset. We go through mindset. We go through brand building. Okay, we go through how to build pipelines. We go through how to use the right terminology so that we're speaking in a way that elevates the conversation. If we can elevate the conversation, we can elevate the results. And so we teach them how to speak much differently than we have been typically in the past. We talk about investment versus payments, all right, or down payments. We talk about things that people enjoy. Like nobody wants to buy anything really. Nobody wants to pay for anything, but they love owning it, right? And so we use different words that make all the difference in the world when it comes to having a conversation that's elevated. And then we teach them how to collaborate instead of negotiate. It's not a competition. It should be cooperation that helps deliver the end result, which is what everybody's there for in the first place, a car deal.
Well,
Right. And so we just do it in a way that makes people happy and have a good time.
Well, I think that when oftentimes, you look at the number of people that come into a car dealership, I want to say it's probably 9 out of 10 that are coming there with intention to buy. I mean, sure, maybe there's 1 out of 10 that's really not, but most people don't want to go there, waste their day, waste their time, just meandering around. They're there with intention. And I think, if a person's trained on how to really listen to the customer, not listen to what they're thinking in their head, what to say to the customer, but actually connecting with the customer. So the customer has a sense of, this is okay. This guy, I like this person. They're interested in what I'm thinking. They're not about, again, themselves and just trying to look at me like a bag of groceries, like Jackie Cooper said years ago, right? The sale is a result of what the customer experiences. And money's not the biggest thing. I think that oftentimes the money's looked upon the biggest thing because people don't know how to connect and serve. So ultimately they end up just jumping right to the money. And
it's the only common ground they have if they don't know you whenever you first meet.
Well,
or whether it's online or whether it's in person.
Right.
That's where they're the most comfortable, is doing numbers. They're not comfortable with getting to know someone, and like Ken just said, serve. Have that servant mindset.
Right.
And Sandy, I love the way you cut it into 3 pieces versus we have a 25-step selling process.
Yeah, right.
No doubt. No doubt.
Keep
Oh
it
my
simple,
gosh.
right? Keep it simple.
Well,
Yes.
to your point, Sandy, and Thomas brought up this earlier as actually a discussion that we were having before coming on here, which is a particular pain point. A dealer just contacted him about where they really can't communicate the right type of word tracks, and having difficulty in instilling a particular process with their sales team. And whenever it comes to either trying to schedule an appointment or try to work out a deal, those things are actually part of the challenges that brought about this entire concept of Call Team 6, special ops for car dealers back in 2021 when we put all of those models together, which is developed into this national behemoth of a sales aid organization, where, because actually with what Ken teaches and with the technology that Ryan's been able to deploy with this company that makes those trained agents up to 4 times more, amplifies their activity by up to 4 times as much as a typical BDC agent, for less than half the cost if you try to do it yourself, and all the other headaches that come along with it. those are the very things, common ground to what you're, sharing, that you provide directly to dealerships, sales team members. They're doing it, for different various sales or service BDC related programs for clients, all across the country now. So it's in my view, but you really can't go wrong if you're concentrating on what they're concentrating on and what you're trying to share with dealership personnel, to try to help them win in what frankly is, an environment that does not fall short of having its share of headwinds, particularly today. And I could, I could pull out of my hat 10 different things, and they're all going to be something that somebody's experiencing right now that they haven't experienced before. So that's the type of environment that we're in, which means, in my view, you've hit the nail on the head on so many things. I love so many of the points you've brought up because that is impactful to dealers, and it can be a real resource for them. And the same types of conversations, that these guys are having with their agents all across the country, all U.S. based agents, whether it be in the sales or service. It's a very similar dynamic that we're seeing out there, and it's kind of head scratcher at one point, but yet still full of opportunity at the same time.
Amen. I couldn't agree more.
I mean, Ryan, you deal with that all the time, right? Every day with the challenges of dealers coming to you and saying, here's what we're experiencing. Can you help me with this?
Only when they're open. then sometimes when they're closed.
Sometimes when they're not. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. I do have, I know we're getting close to the end here, but I had one question from a BDC standpoint, right? Because that's what I do. I run the day-to-day when it comes to that. A lot of conversations. You should see our corporate teams chat. It's like hundreds of dealers sitting there asking questions and talking a lot about what we are here. One of the biggest, I think, pain points, and I know you deal with a lot of outsourced BDCs too, right? You consult with a lot of stores that have outsourced BDCs and that type of thing. And this is something that we continue to try and refine to get the process perfect, and we're not perfect either. But so from your perspective, what is one of the biggest leaks between the BDC and the sales floor right now? Right? And then when you walk in, what are some practical steps? I always like to ask a question that our dealers and our viewers and listeners can go and say, okay, I can make that change right now. And not that I'm trying to give your secrets away for free here, but what are some practical steps that they can take to fix that?
Like with handoffs.
Well, with the handoffs, correct.
100%. Okay, so but first of all, no secrets, right? Like at the end of the day, you got to do it. If you can't execute and you can't actually deliver the goods, it doesn't matter. I'll give you all the secrets in the world. I sat in Pat Loeb Toyota about 12, 13 years ago. Mr. Loeb runs an incredible organization down in McKinney, Texas. Took a greenfield site, never had a Toyota point there ever, and sold over 300 cars his first month out of the gate. He had two 3-ring, 3-inch 3-ring binders sitting on a shelf. He said, Sandy, have at it. I'll have him, copy both of those binders, but you still got to do what's in them. You can have the plan, but you still got to do what's in them. So as it relates to the leaks, Brian, it's such a great question, and I'm so glad that you asked it, because what I tend to do is I want to know how many days has a salesperson sat in the BDC to understand exactly the role that the BDC plays, so that they have what Chris Voss calls is tactical empathy for the people that they are working with, and then vice versa. How many times has that BDC rep actually spent an entire Saturday? Give up a Saturday, get them a day off during the week, but give them that Saturday experience on the showroom floor. Let them go through what that is like as well. Giving them a better understanding of what the two of them have to go through and what they're actually set up to deliver in terms of the guest experience goes a long way in helping to patch some of those leaks that you're talking about. It would be advantageous in terms of the handoff in this regard. You know how to introduce a selling professional. You know how to edify a selling professional. You know how to do edification as it relates from the salesperson back to BDC, so that when the follow-up for unsold prospect occurs, you deliver an experience that has value to it, not just, hey, did you make a decision? We're just checking in, just following up. Those are zero value phone calls, in my humble opinion. When the BDC rep and the selling professionals can collaborate together to deliver a meaningful follow-up experience for everybody on that call or in that email or text thread, everything changes. Again, it goes back to elevating the experience so that you can elevate the results for everybody involved.
I love that phrase though, zero value phone calls.
Amen.
Like that. So you just summed up my Saturday morning powwow in one sentence. Don't just go through the routine, man. Don't do that. Don't just press the buttons and then try check a box. We don't want to do that. And I'm so glad to see you invoke Chris Voss. So we use Black Swan in our organization all the time. The no-oriented questions, that's a big one. Have you given up on your vehicle search?
Absolutely,
hey,
yes.
Would it be crazy to think that a dealership probably left some money on the table when they gave you that quote? Oh, no, I guess it wouldn't be crazy. Great. Well, let it come into our store and we'll help find out, what they left.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You just made my day, Ryan.
And I'm not taking credit for that. A lot of that comes from Jeff here, who introduced me to Chris Voss and the Black Swan Group and all that. We're huge fans of the no-oriented questions, tactical empathy, and we incorporate that into our what we call power phrases and our vernacular, all the time. And still, in fact, a little nugget for Ken and everybody over here. That's still our highest when we do our text campaigns. No-oriented questions are like 1,000 times more responsive than trying to say 0%. Trade-in values higher than ever, right?
Sound like a typical car sale.
It's empathetic.
Well, it's empathetic and it adds value, right? It allows them to kind of control the conversation. So anyway, I know that's not the direction
For
we want to go,
re-engagement, your highest response rate on text message is the.
Have you given up your vehicle search?
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing, Sandy?
We sent that out for Tom,
I love it.
mutual client. We have a Honda store in Savannah, Georgia. We sent that out. Would you believe it had a 64% response rate to 500 people? 500 people. We sent it out, and I'm like, holy cow, that's amazing. Anyway, I know you brought up Chris Voss. We were talking about leaks and how to kind of pull those together, but I love the phrase, the zero value call. You can't do that because then you're
just following up.
Oh my! It's the kiss of death. My customer doesn't. I don't care what you're just doing. I'm at work.
It's such a weak word track, and I am not a huge fan of word tracks per se. I believe in understanding context, and then having the right vocabulary and the right mindset to fill the vacuum that exists between two people, so that the dialogue is meaningful and contextual. And here's the deal, whether it's over the phone, via text, via email, or live in person, when we make a difference in a positive nature, the dollars always follow. They always follow. That is indisputable. It's just a matter of, are we willing to put the time, effort, and energy in to making a difference? I think it was Paul Bryant said that amateurs practice until they get it right, and professionals practice till they no longer get it wrong. That should be, the mantra of every single business in America in terms of your training and development.
So in essence, I just wrote that down.
I just wrote that.
Yeah.
From your shirt.
From your shirt.
Well,
Write that down.
Right.
This is how we retain it, right? Retention is the mother of improvement. Okay. And so if you write that shit down, you ultimately can go back and reference it, repeat it, reshare it with somebody else who becomes a resource for you. And I would say this, with dealerships, how many salespeople do you see in your dealership right now walking around with a clipboard or at least a tablet where they can record responses from your guests so you can keep track of the things that are most important to them? Right. If we don't write that down, we're demonstrating to them that it really is that important to us.
I'm only here for me.
Important to us, we're not going to reference it.
Well, Amen. Again, we talk about that too in terms of I always call it like a recipe for success, right? And I talk about, everyone has their own strategy for buying a car, and your strategy isn't everyone's strategy, even though you might think it is, because it's yours, and we all don't think the same way. So seek first to understand, right, before trying to be understood, and then spin it back based on exactly what they said, keywords, phrases, and then build value on that. I think that's where a lot of guys just, they start at the front of the car, walk around the car, and think that's what a walk around is, right? But it's not. It's a walk around is what's most important to you in the purchase of your vehicle. And everyone comes back with, well, money, I want to get a good deal. Well, sure, everyone wants a good deal, and that's why we do what we do here, and we're transparent. Other than money, what's most important to you, and then you understand. Well, really, it's the safety, because I got 3 kids and one on the way, and I'm looking for something like that. Oh, okay, well, congratulations, and then we take a deeper dive into like really, truly, what is the guy's key hot buttons, we call them, right? And then we can spin it back. But if you don't write it down, you're not going to remember because all you hear,
Amen.
you're going to keep about 10% retention. But when you write it all down, hey, by the way, you said earlier, and then as you do your walk around, you check it off like a doctor would when he asks you, like, what are your symptoms? What's the first thing that happened, second, third?
I think I'd challenge that 10% number too a little bit if you don't write it down.
Yeah.
I'm with Ryan on that.
I know unless I write it down, it's like 2%.
Right. Well, once you write it down, though, the customer's like, wait a minute, the guy's taking notes. Are you kidding me? Who takes notes? Lawyer?
Well,
doctor?
it goes back to Voss. I developed a question, very simple question. Say, do you mind if I take a few notes so that I can make sure that I keep track of the things that are most important to you? And what's the answer 11 times out of 10? No, I don't mind. Take notes.
Right.
Go right ahead.
Instead of did I catch you at a good time? You say, hey, listen, I catch you at a bad time?
Or
Exactly.
Chris Voss would probably say, would it be a bad idea for me to take some notes so I don't remember, I don't forget what's
We're going to prove to you that we are the Black Swan students over here. Okay.
No doubt. Listen, his stuff is so good. I wish I came up with it myself. Believe me.
And
It's
don't we all?
amazing. It's amazing.
Don't we all? Yeah,
Sure.
we see what circles he travels around in these days. But so that brings to a close the mission wrap or the mission launch and field report. Moving into the mission wrap, we just have a couple of moments. If you're okay for a couple more minutes, Sandy.
I'm good as long as you guys are, fellas. I'm sitting in the backyard.
So we've got a viewer question, I think, that came in via email that I think Eric has, our engineer. I'm not sure. It might be for Sandy. Go ahead, Eric. What do you got?
All right. Got a question here from a subscriber, Frank, who asks, many sales managers are promoted because they were good at selling, not necessarily because they're great at developing people. What advice would you give to new sales managers who want to become a strong coach and get results for a team as opposed to just for himself?
That's a great question. I wish it was asked more often, in dealerships. First thing I would say to you is think something that Ken said before is understanding there's a difference between leadership and management. We lead people and we manage KPIs, processes, and statistics. Okay. And the most important thing to understand in terms of leading people is we've got to develop incredibly high levels of trust. My first quick little piece of advice or relative experience is go grab the 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell, read it twice, underline it, highlight it, make notes, and just live by the 5 levels of leadership. I promise you that if you are committed to your own personal self-development, then the folks that you are around are going to be inspired and influenced by what you're doing. And they're more apt to follow you as opposed to sending you off on a walk by yourself.
Great answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Amen.
Straight
No
straight
kidding.
fire. Love that. All right.
That's why he is the man. That's why, right there.
So
The old man, fellas. I got the great beard to prove it.
We're all right there with you.
So for our viewers out there who would like to get more instructional content from you and seek your services or learn more about the various resources that you provide, how's the best way to get in touch with you?
I'm easy to find. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. All of my contact information is there, but I'll give you my cell phone number, which is 201-753-1234. My email address is Sandy, SANDY, at sandycerami.com. Website is the same. We're about to go through a website refresh and overhaul. It's going to be released the week of July 1st. And so we're excited about that, a complete rebranding. But you can certainly reach out to me directly. There are no gatekeepers. I have no problem taking phone calls. I fear no phone call. How's that?
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how is Marvelous Ron Marvo?
Well, Marvelous Ron Marvo is doing great. He and his wife, Nikki, just announced on Instagram that they are going to have a child, I believe a little girl. So we're excited for them right now, and they're doing great.
Awesome.
Excellent. All right. Sandy, thank you so much. What a blessing and what a treat it's been to have a little bit of your time with us today to share and impart so much great information and takeaways for our viewers. I'm sure they appreciate it as much as we do. Certainly value the relationship and very impressed with everything you've been able to succeed in, with your growing enterprise and all the resources that you provide to dealership personnel out there. we really appreciate your being here. Thank you once again.
Guys, thank you. I appreciate the invitation, Jeff. I'd walk through fire to hang with you, buddy. All of you for all. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks so
sir.
much, Sandy.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you
you,
so
guys.
much, and thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. That's going to bring close to episode 20, Tango, here at Call Team 6. Thanks again, Eric, behind the board. Thanks again, Jay, back up in North Carolina, and our sponsors, Podcast Junkie Studios, and also badcode.ai. So, ladies and gentlemen, hope everybody has a great close to June out there, and we certainly appreciate everybody tuning in to this growing community, and we look forward, to everything that the rest of this year is going to bring. I know we have a lot of updates coming in future episodes. So, Ryan, where can people catch us now? Not only the clips, but also full episodes.
Full episodes are available on Spotify, Apple. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. They're posted there as soon as they are chopped up and edited and made for publication. But then you can check out all the clips. Follow us on all the socials: Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Instagram. You got to follow the CT6 Express to find out where we're going next. I know we have some trips up to Washington State that are coming up. I know we have some trips up to Massachusetts that are coming up in the Northeast, my old stomping ground. So you got to check us out there. And if you want us to stop by your neck of the woods, just let us know.
Intel at callteam6.com, right?
Intel at callteam6.com or Ryan at callteam6.com. We got Ken at callteam6.com. We have people who find us online and call us all the time.
And thanks again to Digital Car Guy, the OGDCG, Mr. Thomas Irsitano, for joining us in studio today. We really appreciate your insight and all of your commentary, brother.
Yep.
Oh, my pleasure. And we have a TikTok channel, don't we? On Call
TikTok.
Team 6?
Oh, thank you. I did forget that. Yeah. The young kids out there. I turned 40 and I forgot half of the socials.
There you go. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Ken, thanks again. Thanks for all the Kennex moments in this episode as well. Straight fire. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we love it. I just like, it's a blessing to, like you said, just to be able to share. It's a lot of fun, and I get to do it with a bunch of great guys, and it's always a blast.
And that brings an end to today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks, guys, for coming down. Thanks again, Sandy, to our guest, Sandy Cerami. So, again, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is the Mission Debrief from Call Team 6, Special Ops for Car Dealers. No lead left behind. Everybody have a great close to the month. We'll see you again real soon.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and invite you to like, share, and follow the Mission Debrief podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Plus, catch episode clips on all socials. Call Team 6, no lead left behind.